On the topic of Greenland, we don't know a lot about the deal, but based upon what we ultimately do know, is this a win for the U.S. and European allies alike?
Well, I think it's something that needed to happen. The Arctic has become a key geostrategic field where there is huge threat from Russia and China. Something needed to happen, and I'm glad that there is now a framework where allies in the US and Europe can get on with doing the deal. I'd strongly encourage President Trump to follow through and start dismantling it as an organization, because it is driving these very bad decisions like the Chagos Island. Now, of course, Britain should be standing up for itself. Of course, we should refuse to abide by this judgment. But we have a prime minister who is beholden to these international institutions.
Overseas now, Donald Trump believes his Greenland agreement is the, quote, ultimate long-term deal. It reportedly would grant the US sovereignty over pockets of the Arctic island for military use. The Danish government, however, is not in agreement.
It's total access. There's no end. There's no time limit.
President Trump calls it the art of the deal. Critics say he bowed to international pressure as the U.S. backs off its threat to take Greenland by force. Instead, the president says there's a framework of a deal in place that would guarantee America's security interests, including more American bases for the Golden Dome missile defense shield.
Everything comes over Greenland. If the bad guys start shooting, it comes over Greenland. So we knock it down. It's pretty infallible.
Critics say that offer was already on the table. The president didn't need to threaten military force or new tariffs to get it. And the Danish government is denying it agreed to give the U.S. sovereignty over small pockets of Greenland for military use.
There has been no negotiation with NATO about our sovereignty. Of course there hasn't. That is a matter for us alone.
Sovereignty is a red line. Our integrity and our borders and international law is definitely a red line that we don't want anyone to cross, and I don't think that is strange at all.
European leaders are meeting for emergency talks on the Greenland deal. Most are saying they welcome the president's change in tone, and they're ready to work with the White House to beef up Arctic security.
This is the right way to go. This is the right way because any threat to acquire European territory by force would be unacceptable.
But it's still not clear what the final deal will look like as negotiations get underway.
There's a lot of rhetoric involved here, certainly. A lot of leverage that's being applied here is dealing with a negotiating position.
NATO's Secretary General says he has not discussed the sovereignty issue with President Trump.
Donald Trump has cancelled tariffs due to be imposed on some European nations after an apparent deal for the future of Greenland. Here's the latest from Sky News UK.
Donald Trump came to Davos threatening to claim Greenland by any means necessary. 7 hours after he arrived, he claimed to have struck a deal over the future of the territory, taking tariffs and military action off the table.
It's a long-term deal. It's the ultimate long-term deal. And I think it puts everybody in a really good position, especially as it pertains to security and minerals and everything else.
He began with a familiar takedown of the continent and its economies.
Friends come back from different places. I don't want to insult anybody and say I don't recognize it. And that's not in a positive way, in a very negative way. And I love Europe, and I want to see Europe go good. but it's not heading in the right direction.
Let's bring in Australia's longest-serving Foreign Minister, Alexander Downer, joining us live from Hobart. Good to talk to you again, Alexander. Now, Donald Trump is unorthodox, he's abrasive, but he gets the deal done. We don't know the details, but he's saying when it comes to the minerals in Greenland and the security of that island, a deal long-term, a permanent deal has been done.
Well, I always said the United States wouldn't actually send a military in and occupy Greenland. And I doubted very much whether the 10% tariffs on those European nations would go ahead. But honestly, the media and social democratic governments around the world, left of centre governments, always fall for the Trump trick. He makes statements. He makes statements which are a massive exaggeration of what will actually happen because he wants a deal of sorts. And he ends up by getting a deal. And in this case, Greenland is strategically important. And so what he's done is persuade NATO to up their effort in Greenland, including America's effort. And everybody will be happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, the outcome should be great for everyone. Obviously good for America, but obviously exceptionally good for NATO as well. What I like about this particular move too is that Donald Trump is not sitting back there in the Oval Office shooting off at them. He's gone over to Davos, he's eyeballed them all and told them exactly what he thinks.
Right. He's courage personified, Donald Trump, even though there are times when I don't like what he says, I'll be honest with you. And I think his tactics are often very abrasive and slightly outrageous. But honestly, you couldn't say the man lacked courage. He goes to Davos. He must be the most hated person in Davos, way beyond President Putin and Xi Jinping in terms of the animosity. And he goes over there and he makes a speech, criticizes the Europeans in a justified way, frankly, because their economies are flatlining or in some cases in recession. So, yeah, he's not afraid to confront his foes.
They talk about Davos man. He's kind of the antithesis of Davos man, but he turned up there. Here's a little bit of what he said to the crowd.
We never asked for anything, and we never got anything. We probably won't get anything unless I decide to use excessive strength and force, where we would be, frankly, unstoppable. But I won't do that. Okay? Now everyone's saying, oh, good. That's probably the biggest statement I made, because people thought I would use force. I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force. I won't use force.
There we are, Donald Trump. We'll wait and hear more details about this permanent deal when it comes to Greenland security and its critical minerals. But